Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Glad having you here today for another episode of the Facts to Go podcast. This time featuring the Blue Dream strain. One of these legendary most wanted strains. Many people talk about it, many people like it. That's also the reason why we picked it up for today's show. Born on the West Coast and raised by the internet area, Blue Dream became a household name far beyond cultivation cycles. But why this one? What made it spread from California dispensaries to global playlists, poster walls and seed catalogs? For the next 15 minutes we will trace its origin story, cultural moment and horticultural character. This documentary is made for educational and entertaining purposes only. Blue Dream is widely recognized as the West Coast hybrid with roots in blueberry for the sweet berry-leaning aroma profile, crossed with haze for vigor and texture. In the late 2000s, early 2010s, California's medical area accelerated breeding innovations. Blue Dream slipped perfectly into that moment. A plant with approachable growth traits, a memorable name, and a flavor identity people could instantly recognize. Blue Dream sounds like a postcard from the Pacific. The blue hints a blueberry lineage and cool coastal tones. Dream suggests smoothness, aspiration, and a calm West Coast aesthetic. The name is easy to remember and easy to brand. A big part of the rise. Blue Dream typically shows medium to tall structure with elongated colas and a generous dusting of trichomes. That gives a soft frosted visual effect. Leaves can lean sativa-like in shape, while bud density sits between classic sativa and indica expression. Aromatically, people often describe sweet berry notes over a gentle herbal haze frame, the hallmark of its lineage. Growers value Blue Dream for reliability and generosity. In controlled environments, it tolerates training, fills space efficiently, and tends to finish on a moderate schedule, typically for many hybrids. Outdoors, it appreciates sun-rich temperature climates. Its popularity comes from practically approachable canopy management, consistent performance, and an aromatic profile that remains recognizable after careful drying and curing. But let's also monitor the downside of it. Common grower challenges for Blue Dream are canopy control. Blue Dream can stretch intensively. You have to do proactive training to keep the light distribution even. The aroma retention. The terp expression benefits from measured feeding and a patient control cure. Curing is the key to a good aroma. Balanced environmental condition is also important. Like many hybrids, it prefers steady temperature and humidity rather than extremes. Dialing in all the parameters correctly will end with a perfect result. Countless growers proceeded and succeeded, and many reviews all over the places had established that name in the community. It became an into strain name that new enthusiasts recognized, while experienced growers appreciated its reliability. It's the sound of the West Coast translated into a cultivar identity, surf culture, stand-up optimism, and a generation discovering flavor-forward hybrid. As a stable, high-visibility hybrid, Blue Dream laid connectivity tissue in breeding projects focused on approachability and aroma. Its success reinformed the market for sweet, fruit-leaning terps and helped normalize hybrid names that sound like lifestyle brands. It proves that clarity beats misery. A simple name, a clear lineage story, a consistent garden experience. It taught the industry that reliability and a friendly flavor identity can travel way further than hype. Blue Dream didn't stay a California story for long. By the mid-2010s, A medical program expanded in states like Colorado, Washington, Oregon. Dispensary menus often carried one familiar anchor: Blue Dream. It acted like a bridge cultivar, recognizable enough for newcomers, versatile enough for growers in new markets. Online review platforms such as Leafly or early Reddit forums amplified its presence with thousands of reviews, shaping a digital reputation that outpaced many competitors. What used to be a West Coast hybrid quickly turned into a national talking point and later an international export in the form of seeds, culture and reputation. Part of Blue Dream's rise comes down to how easily people could describe it. Berry sweet with a hint of haze became a shorthand. Approachable language that didn't require a sommelier vocabulary. Compare what with more complex or earthy cultivars, which often struggle to find a universal description. Blueberry's flavor identity taught the community a lesson. A clear sensory signature is as important as potency or yield. This is why its descriptors will show up in seed catalogs, coffee table books and even lifestyle branding well outside the horticulture. OG Kush was a legend spread by word of mouth and music shoutouts. Blue Dream was the child of search engines. It grew up at the same time as Yelp reviews, early Instagram and online grow diaries. This changed the rhythm of how plant names became famous. Blue Dream benefited from algorithms, search ones, find reviews, and the same name kept reappearing. It became the most Googled strain in several reports during the 2010s, showing how digital discovery can create agricultural celebrities. While some genetics carried intimidating names or underground reputations, Blue Dream's identity was gentle. The word dream suggested comfort, aspiration, even creativity. Ideas that aligned well with new audiences who were just starting to learn about the plant varieties. This branding softened the edge of an industry still moving out of stigma and into mainstream conversation. For growers it was equally accessible, not overly demanding, adaptable to multiple setups, and forgiving of minor mistakes. It represented a democratization of cultivation knowledge. For a broader industry, Blue Dream was more than just a strain. It was a case study. Seed banks, branding agencies and even graphic designers looked at it as a blueprint, as a model they can copy. What worked? A name that was easy to translate across cultures, an aroma profile that was instantly identifiable, and a growth pattern that allowed scale. It showed that consistency matters more than novelty. Many later hybrids from gelato to wedding cake carried this blueprint. Lifestyle branding, friendly flavor, descriptors and digital area storytelling. Comparing Blue Dream to other genetics to understand its pace and history, it helps to compare. OG Kush represented potency and edge. Sour Diesel represented sharpness and cultural grit. Blue Dream represented friendliness and balance. Each cultivar embodied an architecture, but only Blue Dream became the people's choice for accessibility. It was the background track to everyday life rather than the hardliners of underground myths. That distinction secured its staying power. Of course, being everywhere came with a cost. Some critics argued Blue Dream was too common, or that its reputation outgrew its reality. Dispensary veterans sometimes dismissed it as basic compared to more exotic modern hybrids. Yet, even this critic proves its cultural saturation. Like a pop song played too often, familiarity became both strength and weakness. Importantly, this conversation highlights how plant varieties are not only agricultural products but also cultivar artifacts, subjects to trends, hype, cycles and even backlash. Today, Blue Dream exists in two parallel forms. as a preserved classic in seed banks, and as a reference point in breeding projects. Many newer cultivars list Blue Dream in their heritage tree, even if just as a stabilizer for aroma or grow balance. In this way, Blue Dream continues to live on, less as a hype cultivar, more as a backbone of modern hybridization. For educators, historians and breeders, it's a marker in the timeline, proof of what happens when genetics align with culture, branding and digital amplification. So when we look at Blue Dream, we are not just looking at the plant, we are looking at the mirror of an era. One where cultivation knowledge escaped regional borders, where the internet shaped reputations and where names matters as much as growth rates. It's a reminder that sometimes the dream isn't about rarity or exclusivity, but about creating a shared reference point. Blue Dream gave growers, consumers and historians a common language. And that may be its most enduring point. Blue Dream also demonstrates how much storytelling shapes plant history. A hybrid is not only judged by its morphology or aroma, but by the way people talk about it. From dispensary bartenders to bloggers, the narrative was consistent, approachable, berry sweet, versatile. This represented story became part of its identity. Anthropologists of agricultural often point out that crops gain cultural value when their story are easy to remember and repeat. In that sense, Blue Dream is a perfect example for it. Beyond words, Blue Dream also gained traction visually. Posters, album covers and Instagram feeds frequently use blue haze color palettes, dreamlike gradients or ocean-inspired pictures when representing it. This helped cement its identity even for people who had never grown or consumed it. The association of colors, fonts and imagery with a plant name shows how botany intersects with design. Today, design studios still cite Blue Dream's inspired campaigns as examples of how agricultural products can become lifestyle brands. Interestingly, Blue Dream also found its way into academic discussions. Early laboratory testing during the medical cannabis era often used it as a benchmark cultivar because it was so widely available. Testing labs could compare data across states, dispensaries and season with a common reference point. For students of horticulture, Blue Dream became something like a case study plant, not unlike how Chardonnay or Cabernet Sauvignon are used in viticulture courses. There's also a social angle to consider. Blue Dream was often described as a sharing strain, one that people introduced to friends. Its accessible reputation made it a first experience for many. The act of sharing a recognizable cultivar mirrors broader cultural dynamics. We gravitate towards things that feel safe to recommend. In that sense, Blue Dream functioned as a cultural handshake, a way for communities to connect without intimidation. The future of Blue Dream might not be topping charts of hype, but in staying power. Like classic grape varieties or heritage tomatoes, it has earned a place in the canon. Breeders will continue to revisit it, historians will continue to cite it, and educators will continue to use it as an example of how plant names, genetics and culture intersects. Blue Dream may no longer be the new thing, but its role as a cultural baseline ensures that it remains relevant in discussions of both history and horticultural identity. This was the story of Blue Dream. I hope you like what you have heard. If so, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button, it will help me. Hope to see you soon again for another episode of the strain growing journey or another podcast of another strain information or whatever kind of adventure I'll take you with me if you want. Thanks for watching and see you soon.